Welcome.
Welcome. Bienvenue.
What's up?
Croissant.
Thursday breakfast.
Is today Thursday?
Yes, it is.
It is. We're recording on a different day because you guys know that we release on Mondays.
We're not live. We're not cheating.
Not yet. Yeah. Not yet. That might be coming down the pipeline. I want to do a live YouTube.
I mean, we're famous now. 1.7K views on a 10-minute video.
1.1.
It's a 1-minute video.
I can wear goggles.
It was a one. Yeah.
I can wear goggles because I'm famous now.
Yeah.
This whole video.
Yeah.
I can drink Killcliff because they don't sponsor me. You know.
We could just say that Madison owns Killcliff.
Yeah, I don't, but you know, Navy SEAL Foundation. You know, as a Navy SEAL people that started, that was me, right? No. No. So today's podcast, we're going to be talking about: is CrossFit for everyone? Should you do CrossFit? When should you quit? Not when. If you should quit, if you should pull back, like what are the
if you're crying, I think
the common I think questions and thoughts towards fitness and exercising and longevity, and then also with maybe early, like starting out, I guess you could say, like I'm brand new to CrossFit and I want to try it. I think let's start with I've never done CrossFit before and work our way to the end. So I had a good conversation with Coach Meg the other night. She was telling me that at her PT school, they brought in this guest speaker. His name, did she tell you about it?
He created the goblet squat or something?
Yes, the guy that invented the goblet squat, you know, with the kettlebell that was made in the USSR like
by Russians
forever ago. This guy come up with a way of holding it and squatting it.
Yeah. And he was
makes sense.
I got angry when she was telling me about this thing, and it's not that he hates CrossFit. Okay, so this guy, let me preface it and then we'll go there. So this guy said that he taught Greg Glassman everything he knew. I have a reason for bringing this up so we can bring it full circle. So this guy taught Greg Glassman everything he knew allegedly and didn't get anything for it. He was at this PT school here in Utah, and he was like a guest speaker, and she said he started off talking about whatever and then was like, I hate CrossFit and anything to do with it. You know, that kind of a conversation started off that way. And then they were doing overhead squats with the PVC pipe as a group, which for one, that's an interesting thing to dive into, to say that you hate CrossFit. But then later on, he was like, hey, Meg, you got a really good overhead squat. And she's like, I do CrossFit. You know, just kind of like sticking him in the eye. And then he got real mad. You could tell. She said she could tell his demeanor completely changed. And I don't mean to keep cutting you off. No, go. I'm thinking in my head. I'm trying not to cut you off either. Keep going.
Then he kind of was like, oh, you know, I hate CrossFit, whatever. And then he was like, later on in the session, he was like, who are my CrossFitters in the room? After he'd already had a conversation with her about doing CrossFit, he goes, hey, who are my CrossFitters in the room? More or less wanting to shame her in front of everybody. So she raised her hand and he goes, oh, when's your next Olympic weightlifting meet? And she goes, what? He goes, when's your next Olympic weightlifting meet? She goes, I don't know. He goes, exactly. He goes, whenever you get hurt, don't come talk to me.
And that bothered me because I wish she was just like, oh, by the way, I'm not going to a meet, but I'm going to go to our Olympic class we have on Saturdays. 10:30. That's run by an Olympic coach that's USA certified. Yeah, so, I got frustrated with that comment.
I took a different approach with that comment. How I took it was I wanted to be like, hey, I told her, I was like, you should have asked him, like, oh, do you teach your clients to run? Do you ask them when they're signed up for the next 5K?
Or marathon?
Do you teach your clients to back squat? When is their next powerlifting meet? It's like, it makes no sense. You know what I mean? To say that.
Yeah. I don't really understand what the purpose of the question was.
Originally, because he's saying that Olympic lifting should only be done by people that want to compete in Olympic weightlifting.
It's not a functional movement. It shouldn't be used in everyday exercise.
Yeah, and I've heard that numerous times.
And I don't agree with that.
I don't either.
I go through phases, but it comes down to is the problem I had with the whole conversation with this dude coming in and speaking to physical therapists that are going to be going out in the world to help people move better was say like demonizing things they have know nothing about and are going to talk trash about it, and leave these kids and young adults coming out of PT school with that negative connotation. Like if they have a client that does CrossFit, it's like, you're just doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why when we tell clients if they do get hurt, I'm like, find someone that does what we do.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to do CrossFit, just he's physically, like, I'm not going to go to a physical therapist or orthopedic surgeon that's sedentary, that doesn't do anything, plays video games. I want someone that does CrossFit, bodybuilding.
That was like the big, like one of the things that one of the ladies at the postpartum thing we went to, she said that. She was like, she goes, my OB, his name is Jason Johnson, and he does CrossFit. And I was like, oh, he comes to our gym. That's awesome. I didn't say that, but I was thinking it. But she basically was just like, find you an OB that does CrossFit so he can tell you, or she can tell you, like, how to handle things in a fitness way, rather than you're pregnant now, do nothing.
Because, dude, it comes down to biased. I mean, we're all biased. I think the one best thing about CrossFit and us is we all agree CrossFit's great, but there are we can all acknowledge there's other training methodologies that are good and we could take from it.
Yeah.
We don't sit here going, this is the only way you can work out and become fit. Like that, no one's ever said that.
I'm making that a short. This is the only way you can work out and be fit. CrossFit. No, but to bring it full circle, of the reason why I wanted to bring that up was, do you need to be able to be fit or to know how to work out before CrossFit? The answer is no. Like, that's the whole point of doing the way we onboard, the way most CrossFit gyms onboard, or should, if they don't, is do they onboard you in the way of they teach you? I did have a client one time. So most gyms should do some kind of a one-on-one session with you if you've never worked out or never done any kind of fitness. Now, I've had clients come in the past that work out regularly. Maybe they've done powerlifting. Maybe they just do bodybuilding style circuit stuff. And I'm like, do you know what a squat is? Do you know what a press is? Do you know? And I'm like, do you know what a snatch is or a clean and jerk? And they say no. I say, okay, let's do at least one session where I teach you all the Olympic weightlifting movements. Then everything else can be taught in class, because it can. Now, if it's someone that has never worked out a day in their life, I'm not just going to throw them into class and be like, hey, good luck. Maybe if they're doing like a free week or a free day or whatever, cool. I'll modify everything, because I know I have an idea as a coach that's been doing it for a while. I understand how to get them ready. But what I'm not going to do is be like, all right, here, go jump in and just figure it out on your own.
No, and I think like if you do that, you just bring them in. Let's say they can't, like, I know sometimes price point's a little iffy with some people, but if we have a bigger staff, like if you're teaching class and I can shadow and I can kind of guide this person, they can get the same thing we would get out of a one-on-one. So there's other options. Yeah, but the intros are really important.
Yeah, I agree. There are other ways. There's multiple ways to skin a cat for sure. That's just the one way that we do it.
Yeah.
But I think, so for me personally, I never worked out a day in my life. I started doing bodybuilding stuff, just your basic stuff. And I did that for a year before I found CrossFit. I wasn't trying to get fit before I started CrossFit. Britt likes to use this analogy. If you want to learn how to play guitar, are you going to try to learn how to play guitar before you go learn to play guitar?
Yeah. I was going to say, if you want to go play tennis, do you need to like win the Grand Slam or something like that before you can start taking lessons?
Yeah, makes sense. Right. No.
I just download the simulation in my brain.
Give it time. Neuralink.
Did you see that? Elon Musk.
Yeah, that's been a thing for a while.
I never saw a public announcement on it, like being around the corner. But okay.
That's Adrian's boy, Elon.
Mind control.
If you guys got any questions about Elon,
hit me up.
Adrian knows it all.
We're friends.
But no, I think fine. So I've spoke with a few people who've, they moved. They're like, hey, what should I look for when I move to a gym? And I always tell them like one, do they let you come in and try out the gym? Like if someone says no, you have to sign up for a membership ASAP. Like we're not even gonna let you try it. To me, that's someone that doesn't believe in what they. I get it in the way of like, it's a business. We need to make money. Believe me, I get it.
Yeah, that to me that's like one of the weirdest things. It's like it's pretty much like you want to buy a car. You have to buy it, but you can't test drive it.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
It's just like, hey, like either you buy it and you can't return it, or you buy another one.
Yeah. Or you go somewhere else.
Yeah.
30-day refund.
Yeah.
That just makes no sense. It actually happened to me when we moved to Salt Lake.
Oh, really?
I emailed several gyms, and like Brit responded immediately saying, yeah, come in for like a week, for free, whatever. And nobody else responded. Another gym responded saying, hey, you can come do a class. Like a class, like one class.
I mean, I think that's how we used to do, right? And then we were like, oh, we'll give you 3 days. Or it was 3 days.
No, so I don't know. I've always told people to come try out the gym, and then we like set in stone like a 3-day thing. And then,
that's what.
And then Britt was like, let's do a week because the 3 days, like whatever. So yeah, it kind of like. Yeah, but yeah, it makes no sense to me either. So I always tell people, like, if you can get a free week or a free couple days at least so you can see what their gym's like. Because if you go into, like, a recovery day style workout, it's like, well, this gym doesn't go very hard or whatever, then you're going to have a bad image of what's going on in there. Or if it's, like, everybody just happens to be gone at a certain time, be like, oh, 2 people are in this gym. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a way. But I always tell them if they don't get a free week or something like that, if they don't get consistent coaching throughout, like if the coach doesn't pay attention, if they play on their phone, if they're too busy talking to other people or whatever, if they're not actually coaching or watching, don't go to that gym. And then the last thing is the programming. If it's not well-rounded, in which you need to do a couple days of to figure out if it's actually pretty well-rounded, because a lot of gyms now I think are doing like the 20 to 40-minute EMOM, AMRAPs, and stuff like that because they're like, well, it's just like the peel yourself off the floor sweating kind of workouts, and they're like, this is what people want. But I always tell people that whenever they're choosing a gym, if they've already been doing CrossFit. But for anybody that is brand new, if they come in and there is no one-on-ones, or if they step away from it. So people always do a one-on-one and they always go like, oh man, I'm so lost still. I don't know. What is a clean? And I'm like, oh, it's this to this. So as coaches, we always preface every class, hey guys, we're doing power cleans today. That's the close grip going from the ground to your shoulder. And we always demo, because most people that come in that are brand new, even 6 months brand new, like that have been doing it for up to 6 months, still don't know. And I always tell them, they're like, oh, sorry, I can't remember the names of this stuff. And I always tell them, like, this is my get the fuck out, because you're not welcome. If you do not take home the study material.
I use a dog collar and shock the shit out of them.
Yes, there you go. What is I remember. But I always tell them, this is my job. This is my profession. I don't expect to know everything a doctor knows, because that's why, like, if I go into a business and someone talks down to me because I don't know, I get immediately angry.
But do you see, like, when people, like, come to the gym, they don't really, like, remember what the movements are, and it might be 6 months. I had a client that was with us for 5 years and still didn't know what a snatch and clean the difference was. But I feel like when that happens, whether it's 6 months, a year, 5 years, I feel like those people still use the gym as like a check mark on their task list. Yeah, like when you dive in and make it kind of like a lifestyle. Yeah, and this is where like we do as our job is reviewing movements and briefing you.
Exactly. And I tell them, like, hey, this is my job. This is what I do for a living, and I'm going to always help you if you're ever lost or confused, because I don't want you to ever feel like an idiot. I don't want you to ever feel stupid or like, oh man, I just cannot remember that move. Like, so why would I expect that? It's like whenever you go to fix your car one time on something, it's like, oh, you didn't learn the whole thing. You didn't learn how the whole thing was put together. It's like, no, I don't remember that because I don't need to. Or even if you fix something like 6 months ago and we're doing it again. Anyway, so I think for beginners, just take it slow and use an empty bar. Use nothing. Just take it slow. Because you guys both came from sports and athletics, whenever you started CrossFit, did you ever feel like that? Like out of place, like dumb?
Yes.
100%. I'll let Adrian go, dude.
On double unders.
Like that.
Double unders?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Very, very frustrating. But then, I don't know.
And then you did them.
Did what I needed to do to learn, and that was it. And I think that applies to literally everything else.
Yeah.
You don't need to have does it make it easier if you have a background in either gymnastics, weightlifting, track and field, martial arts, whatever? Yes, obviously. But that's going to be the same for anything else. Does it mean that you shouldn't try CrossFit if you don't have a background in anything? No, definitely not.
I think you have a better shot if you don't have any athletic background or you haven't had any habits.
Yeah.
Like me, like when I had started with like wall balls, dude, I used to throw it like a basketball.
I don't know.
Hit it in my face.
I see what you're saying. Like if you were taught like to be a weightlifter, like if you played the high school football or something and you had a terrible strength conditioning coach, then you've set in tons of bad habits and tons of bad ways. I can see that. But I think to Adrian's point, starting in anything helps because I know that personally. I spent the first 3 to 4 years trying to play catch up to where my buddy who was in track and field in high school would come in and be like, hey, what's a muscle up? And he did one. And it like, that's to some, I mean, that's something to say to his athleticism, but also like he's had some experience doing other things. But I see what you're saying. Like if you have tons of bad habits, don't come in with an ego because 9 times out of 10, the whole point of us trying to coach you is to make you more efficient and to make you move better. That way you can be better. Because I've worked with athletes in the past where I've been like, hey, do like move your feet in just a little bit. And they're like, oh, I don't like that. I wasn't taught how to squat that way. I'm like, that's fine. But know that I know what I'm doing. And I'm not trying to tell you to do this to mess you up, to make you squat lighter, to do anything like that. I see your anatomy and I see certain faults in your movement and I want to fix that. And that's why I'm having you move in.
Are you not trying to sabotage them?
I actually want to win. So I'm like, widen your stance as wide as you can. Squat.
Yeah. A good old split.
I try to get you to dislocate your hips. Pop, pop.
Yeah, dude, that's how we make money. Hurt
yeah,
people.
Yeah.
Right? I think our last podcast.
Yeah. But I've gotten in this conversation with a lot of people over the past years of it. And I know you have too, Carlos, and Adrian, I'm sure you have to an extent of whenever you try to coach somebody or like for me as a programmer, I'm not new to this. I didn't just start 6 months ago programming. I've been programming now for almost 8 years. And so I've seen thousands of workouts and how they affect people and how certain movements affect people and how things compound. So it's like, I'm sure you guys have had to like almost defend yourself maybe a little bit, but it's kind of like, I'm not a dumb one when it comes to this. I'm literally like trying to make you better, trying to make everybody better. And us as coaches, that's the goal, is to improve you. So whenever we do write the programming or I write the programming or you give someone substitutes or something like that, it's to progress them to get to being able to do the movement as RX or as prescribed.
Yeah, we always want safety first and then we want progress.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you're always hurt and you ski and your knees hurt, like, well, we've got to fix that. Like,
yeah.
Like if it's stretching or if you need to get stronger quads or stuff like that. But
yeah,
I think of like with the topic today of is CrossFit for everyone? Is it good for people at a certain age? We always look at everything as like an end result instead of just enjoying the process.
Yeah.
Like, and I think it comes down to just having little mini goals for people to be like, okay, I want to have less pain in my knees. Like everyone should have like their own little journey of the whole thing versus the end result. Because the end result doesn't give you a final.
That's a good point. That's a good point. A lot of people think about the end.
Yeah, like, oh, I got to get to this age and then this starts like age always equals what medical professionals like, oh, you have arthritis. It's because you're this, like, if you start with CrossFit, like watching Denise and all them is like, they have their limitations, but they show up every day.
Yeah.
And their goal is just to be healthy. And if we can do that where, hey, one day I'm just like, Denise, get your elbows up a little higher and drop your hips on the squat.
Yeah. And
it helps her. But like, I think that's what people miss is like, they just have like, I just want to lose weight. And that's like the main focus in the end. And then you get to the end and it's like, now okay, that's gratifying. Now what?
Yeah.
Rather than just, this is a part of your life. Like Adrian talked about that it's essential. Movement is essential in humans. We were created that way. And it's just like anything is we should continue doing that. So in my opinion, like to answer that question, and we'll answer it in segments too, is I don't think there should be any age gap on CrossFit.
Yeah, I agree.
I think I pull back when I feel like I'm doing things wrong or incorrect and I overthink things a lot, and I rely on people I surround myself to kind of push me forward. But I think the end result is to just I wanted to be 100 and still be able to do this stuff.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be broken when I'm 100.
I think people get caught up in the not necessarily competitive side of CrossFit, but in the, so we talked about like the the hopper style? Can you do all the movements? You know what I mean? And then they get caught up in that. And that's not to say that you shouldn't do that, because I think you should. I think every person, no matter what their age is, should be striving to be able to do all the things. Like my goal is whenever I'm in my later years of my life, I want to still be able to do things that I think I should be able to do. And like, granted, like we've talked about, like if I have both knees blown out or if like I tore my like left arm off or something, obviously I can't do, like if I really ruptured an arm, say I'm snowboarding or something, and I like tore my pec or something, I have no idea.
You got like plates and screws and your arm only goes to here.
Yeah. Like, no, okay, well, that limits me on all of my stuff. So, but what I'm saying is, like, I agree with you. There's no point that you shouldn't be attempting things if you're capable of doing them. And I mean that in like strength, mobility, flexibility, all those things. Like today in class, we're doing legless rope climbs for skill. And I put in there different scaling options for people to do. And the reasoning for it is because it's like, okay, here's an here's an end thing that I want everyone to try to be able to do. Now, if you're like, I can't even do a strict pull-up, why am I trying to do a legless rope climb? I get that. Okay, so our steps are a few steps back. Let's try to get to where you can do consistently some strict pull-ups without any assistant, like from a band or on like using your feet or something like that. Then our goal would be to do a regular rope climb. Then our goal would be able to do a legless. So it's like we talked about, don't always have the end result in mind, because that kind of limits you. But I think having goals to get to that, to me, would keep you excited about trying to come in and working out.
And like enjoy the grind, like the fun part. Like I used to joke about like, oh, it took me forever to learn muscle ups, but there were a lot of lessons in that of things to do, not to do, and not quitting, right? You know what I mean? Like we talked about last week about motivation and discipline. Like if I couldn't get a muscle up, just give up with it. Oh, I'm just too heavy, or I just can't do it.
Right.
You keep trying and trying. Like I joke about when I see someone walk in and can do it in 1 second, I'm like, oh, I hate you, but I'm so proud of you. Like,
yeah, it's cool because we're like, oh, that's cool. You're a lot further along than I was at your point in CrossFit.
I appreciate that, great. But I appreciate that hard work, because I'm like, even though you made it look easy, I still enjoyed that whole process, because it was like, that took 2 years.
Right. Same for me. Adrian, do you think that there's ever a point where, you know, like a counter to that? Do you think that there's ever a point where it's like, hey, bro, you should probably slow down?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I mean, not necessarily, like, maybe not so much regarding the complexity of movements, but definitely I think regarding the intensity. I mean, obviously, as we get older, I think it'd be a little naive to think that we can maintain the intensity that, you know, we can apply to a workout in like our 20s or 30s.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to accept that. But now, you know, obviously it also shouldn't be used as an excuse to just, you know, avoid most movements.
Right.
I think you should always try to push yourself, you know, in line with your capabilities, and just, being smart.
Yeah. I mean, you touch on a solid point there that I think it's, if you didn't know, it kind of got brushed over, is the intensity side of things. So yeah, I think that's really good. That's a good way of putting it. So whenever I do write the program, I write masters. Sometimes I write masters like calories on the machines to be different, because you're right. Like, if for me to say, all right, 55-year-old client that over the years you've kind of gotten deconditioned and, you know, life's taken over, you got stress from work, blah, 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 blah. Let's try to do a 2-minute Fran. Probably not going to happen at 100% RX. You know what I mean? So it's like, I get it, but we can still mimic that as close as possible. So you can still get the intended, I don't want to say stimulus, but results from trying to do that. Where it's like doing a 400-meter run versus a mile run. That's a complete different time frame. So if you have a master's athlete, someone who's 50 plus, and they're doing their 400-meter run in, say, 2.5 minutes, that's cool. Now let's try to get it closer to 2 or something like that. Like, I'm not asking for you to set a 1 minute 400, But let's try to get you to give that all-out effort that I'm asking for. And how can we get there? So if I say, all right, Masters, I want you to do 75 or 55 pounds for the thrusters, and Fran and maybe jumping pull-ups, or 15-12-9 or 15-9-6 on the reps, can we still get in that same time domain with that same stimulus? But I agree with you. To say that you can keep the intensity at super high for the rest of your life, I'd say is, to me, it's varies by degree.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
I agree with you. And I think in the past 10 years since I took my level 1, I don't know if they did. It maybe came from level 1, but it might have been my buddy Brian Cullen that owns CrossFit Explode. He calls it relative intensity. It's relative to your fitness.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that what you mean? Is that what you're kind of thinking
saying
of?
Everyone should be high intensity, meaning go, 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 go. If you're 90, your intensity level, and don't get me wrong, there probably is some that is not going to be the same as a 20-year-old.
No.
Right? Some may. Like, there's some fit individuals out there, but reality is...
I want to see a 90-year-old keep up with the old Adrian.
Well, I agree.
What
I'm curious about, like, for the future, too, is, like, we talk about as age, like, all the science shows that as we get older, you obviously have, we talked about this a little bit, you have atrophy of your muscles, you have a harder time maintaining muscle. And that was on people, these studies from, like, the 50s and 60s that...
Didn't really exercise.
They didn't exercise, but they were physically active. What is it going to look like for those people that aren't like us, that exercise is a daily habit, of how quickly atrophy and, I think, like, that broken hips?
I'm sure there's been people that have been studied that are like us. It's just, I think the pool is going to be a lot bigger.
Yeah.
Once we reach, once our generation reaches a certain age.
I feel like for the point of, like, you or Adrian or me or Britt or any of our members that have been doing this for 10, 20 years, when we get to an older age, I doubt we're going to, like, most of my friends' grandmoms have passed away, and the first thing that always happens before they end up getting pneumonia or passing away is they fell and broke their hip.
Yeah.
Like, that's usually with their grandparents. That's, like, been the common indicator. So it's like, that's bone density, that's muscle.
Cut him off, Adrian.
Don't fall.
We're going to work on that.
Don't fall or you're dead.
Yeah. Just like Bubble Boy, walk around
watch your steps.
But, like, if you're
always look down and watch your steps.
But if you're 70 years old, you shouldn't not be able to start CrossFit. Like, that's, I mean, I think that was Greg Glassman's movement before he got kicked out, was he went from one extreme from the games to now showing some old guy holding 2 milk jugs.
Yeah.
Like,
he was trying to show the accessibility of being able to do stuff at home, but
and he went from he should have eased in and kept the games and kind of merged the two, but
he went real hard in that paint.
Yeah.
But no, I agree with you. I think with the relative intensity thing, I think is a good way of looking at it. We've talked about in the past, like, if you're feeling sore or feeling beat up or something like that, still come in and move, or it's okay to take a day off or something like that. But typically, I think and if I'm not doing it, let me know. But I think that the programming should reflect by that. Like, if we were to do Fran on Monday, Diane on Tuesday, which Fran is, say, a sub 5 minute workout, Diane a sub 5 minute workout, and then we do like a 500 meter row for time, which is a sub 2 minute workout. So, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, by Thursday, you're going to be completely fried, right? But let's say we do a 30-minute grinder Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. By Thursday, you're going to be completely fried. So I think that the programming should vary in a way to make it to where you're not feeling like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not to say that you won't be tired. Like, shit, we all get tired, especially if I didn't sleep very well last night. I'm feeling pretty tired today, so I'm going to try to still go hard, but I'm just going to go as hard as my body will let me in today's workout. But I think the programming should be able to reflect to that, to play it of, like, how are you feeling today? Okay, today should be like, okay, oh fuck, we're doing squats again. It's been 6 days in a row. Cool. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Do you I mean, in all honesty, do you feel like I do that well or not? I try to.
I think it's pretty crappy, but you try hard.
You know, that's what I need. That's what I need.
It's like mediocrity at its best, but
mediocre. Yeah, mediocre was the word I was looking for.
Had better. I've had better.
No, I think I'm
not trying to get, like, my ego stroked or anything like that, but it's just like I really do put a lot of time and effort into each time I make up something. But But no,
another thing, like I think as people get older, I think one of the reasons why, and maybe not necessarily as they get older, but I think one of the reasons why they get intimidated by CrossFit is because the only aspect of the sport that you typically see without going to a gym is like the
tip of the
freaking
spear.
the hardcore, getting yelled at, being a freaking Spartan going to the gym.
Are you a pussy? Get up and give me 5.
It's it's the pick up the bar attitude.
Yeah.
And then, if you're someone who is, not necessarily in amazing shape, and even if you are, like, some people are not necessarily attracted by that type of vibe, right? And so they may just redirect to something like, a little more calm and relaxed, like, yoga or
Pilates,
Orange Theory at 45, just something a little more.
Which is great too,
there's
right?
nothing wrong with it.
But I think the images of CrossFit that you see from outside a gym is not necessarily accurate, right? Because I think it's totally okay. I mean, for like best example is I don't like to get yelled at.
I was just gonna bring something up that I love as a coach sometimes when I yell at someone and they just look at me like, "Don't ever yell at me again."
Yeah, that's Adrian. If you yell at Adrian, come on, pick the bar up.
It gives you anxiety, right?
I'll give you the death look. Literally, I couldn't tell you how many times during competition someone would just be yelling at me, and I just look at them and be like, "Shut up!"
Shoot him the French eye.
Wasn't you yelling at him at the first one? I know you guys did.
I know I need to go hard. I am aware I'm in the middle of a competition. I'm aware it's a race. I did not forget that.
And resting doesn't help you win. I get that.
Some people respond well to that, and then some don't. And you learn that.
Pretty quick as a coach.
And we don't Here's the thing: a coach is almost like an office manager, a regional director. You can't treat everyone the same way. Some people you got to treat with hey, great job, pat him on the back. The other person, you look him in the eye and be like, I know you could do better.
I just tell him stuff to remind him. I'm like, hey, breathe.
Oh yeah. If you don't pick up the bar, I'll
Go French ninja you.
Our buddy that's going into the fire department, when you yell at him, it motivates him. But you can see in his eye he's getting frustrated that he's not keeping up, and you just have to whisper in his ear and be like, "Dude, you're doing a great job. Keep it up. Don't worry."
Yeah.
But he wants you to yell at him that puts a fire under his ass. So.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, everybody responds to motivation different whenever they're suffering in a workout, but I agree, Adrian. I feel like there's so many times where people are like, "Oh, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, I do CrossFit." And they're like, "Oh, you flip tires?" And I'm like, "No, I've never. I mean, I have, but we don't have any at the gym. We don't flip tires. That's not a fitness thing that we do. Not to say that no CrossFit gyms do it, because I've talked to members that are like, "Yeah, we flip tires and hit tires with hammers."
I think the best way of describing
that's a way of doing it. But
I think the best way of describing CrossFit, and sorry to cut you off, is we learn how to take our shirt off really, really perfect.
Yeah, one
snap
hand.
of a finger.
One hand.
You just blink and that's it. It's off.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get warmed up.
It's like
pop the top.
I remember I always have the excuse why do you always take your shirt off? I'm like, dude, when I'm doing push-ups, it causes friction under my armpit and I get a rash. And then finally I was like, dude, I just don't like wearing a shirt.
Yeah, I don't like.
I used to be fat and I'm comfortable in my skin now, so I don't mind it.
I get hot. I get hot really fast. Hot and uncomfortable.
I know that people like to make fun of taking the shirt off
and chalking.
And I don't know, I would probably make fun of it too if I didn't do CrossFit. And I had never taken my shirt off until I started CrossFit.
Same.
And I was like, I don't know, I just thought it was, at first just like everyone else, I just thought it was a little weird. But then one day I tried it because I was probably dying, and I was like, oh, maybe it's gonna change something. And it's just like it's so comfortable, right? I mean, it reminds me of natural. When I was a kid. Like when you're a kid, you always just want to run around naked everywhere because it's comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. And then this is just the same thing. Like you start warming up and you get hot. You feel like your range of motion is kind of limited because of your clothes, and you're just like, just take it off. Next step, we'll take the shorts off.
You have no idea how many times I've wanted to.
It's just like, dude, take these pants off. Like, I forgot underwear.
Yeah, well, Got some free balling. But yeah, I believe that you're right there, Adrian. We got to let our nuts hang out.
But it's also a cool thing to see, like when you start CrossFit and you're coaching. Is I wasn't comfortable taking my shirt off at first because I was overweight. But like when you see people up here, like, I can't believe this person has their shirt off. I was like, yeah, I can't either. And then I was like, wait, fuck that. I was like, this dude is comfortable.
Wait, it's me?
Yeah, of course. But this dude feels comfortable taking his shirt off. Doesn't matter how he views himself. He feels comfortable. Who the fuck am I to tell that person, like, you're not fit enough to take your shirt off, or a female, you can't wear that kind of shirt.
There are gyms that won't let you take your shirt off.
Yeah, it used to be.
There's some in the valley that I've heard.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, we had a few in Florida. Yeah, which, I mean,
it's fine.
It's fine,
the
too.
owner can run the gym however they want.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I believe that I think CrossFit, whenever it very first started, it had to try to figure out a way to separate itself, and that's where like the Forging Elite Fitness and all that kind of stuff came from. Was like, we're different than you, because like we talked about, like our warm up is your workout, that whole scenario. But I think it kind of like, it was kind of like a snowball, and it just kind of got out of control. Like, if your hands aren't bleeding and you're not like throwing up in the corner like Mr. Pukey, because that was the old mascot, then you're not doing enough. So it's like, as a 65-year-old, man that's, I worked out once in my life, I don't want any part of that. Like, I don't, as a 35-year-old man, want any part of that.
I don't want to puke, but you also want something challenging. I think most of the stuff you can do out in the fitness world is
that's
easy.
not what I'm saying though.
I mean, you can make it challenging without having to throw up everywhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. It's like,
oh yeah, I'm not agreeing that you have to throw up. I'm just where I was going with this is, a lot of people want it easy.
Yeah.
Like everyone just we like we talked about last week, is instant gratification. Is like, you want one pill to fix everything. You want to make $1 million, but you don't all work.
Yeah.
Like
and there's got to add a little like definition in there. Like you said, everybody wants it easy. When you're first starting out, the workouts are going to be hard, but they shouldn't be so demanding on you that you feel like you're going to throw up. Like a client I'm working with, she's like, man, I cannot get over how hard it is, and I'm only working for 12 minutes. She was like, I done marathons, done like long ass hikes, the crazy shit. And she's like, well, I just can't get over how I'm dying, and it's only been 12 minutes. And the stuff that I have her doing, she's very new to like this style of training. So I'm breaking it all down to make it super simple. And like, well, they're doing X amount of weight over there and I'm not doing any. And I was like, that's fine. This is where you're at. And our goal is to get you there, but we can't start you there because you can't physically do that. So I think like what you're saying, like everybody wants it easy, that kind of stuff. Everybody, yeah, we do want that magic pill. I mean, it's like when you start drinking a lot of water and you're like, man, I drank a ton of water today. The next day you're like, damn, I don't feel any more hydrated. And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, we're short-sighted a lot of times. That's why I brought it up about like the longevity of CrossFit. How old should you be? It's like, enjoy that long. Like, I like looking back sometimes and being like, where did I start? Like, I remember I didn't even know how to do a kettlebell swing. Like that whole hips open. Right. It was frustrating.
Same.
And like, I kind of got to the point now, like I didn't like doing anything new because you have to learn all over. And then I learned to snowboard and I learned all that for the past 10 years. I joke about it like you just want to be good at things, but I look back and I appreciate more of the process than the end result. Being able to do all the things in CrossFit was learning all the scaling options helped me as a coach.
Yeah, well, I think what it is whenever you do, like, let's say you pick up snowboarding or you see somebody like just flying down the mountains, they're not hitting jumps or nothing, they're not doing anything, they're just going down comfortably, and then you get up and you're like, cool, and then you eat shit 35 times and your butt hurts and then your wrists hurt and you're like, that sucked, don't ever want to do that again.
You need to get a new coach.
Yeah, or get one. I never had one. But what I'm saying is, like, if you're just eating shit all the time, I get it. Like, it gets real frustrating. That's like yesterday we were doing the single under, the high skips, and you were getting frustrated because we were beating that ass, and then out of nowhere, I lost.
Yeah, because he saw me doing it.
I got last place.
That's not where I caught up.
He caught up in the devil press.
I caught up whenever I got to the point where I knew what I was doing.
to the normal fitness.
I was like, hey, I've done this before.
Yeah, you were right on my ass, dude, and then just went.
Yeah, it's because devil presses burpees. Anyway.
Well, you guys did use 70 pounds, so I can't even argue that.
Still.
That was a shit ton of weight.
Still, I don't want to lose. No, I think with doing CrossFit, it's really hard because it is all brand new. Like, I've had a client tell me in the past, they're like, "Oh, I feel stupid doing this," and it was a clean. They're like, "I just don't feel like I'm doing this right," and everything to my eyes and everybody around's like, "Yeah, they're doing it right." And it's like, and I always ask them like, "Okay, well, how many times have you done this before this?" And they go, "None." I'm like, "Okay, then. So why do you expect to feel comfortable doing it?"
It's gonna feel weird the whole time.
It's like when you tried to learn how to write as a kid, that pencil in your hand just felt stupid. You're just like, this doesn't. It's like me trying to learn how to use chopsticks. I feel like a freaking idiot, and I'm just like, dang.
I mean, did you not feel stupid when you tried to learn how to clean and jerk?
No, I did.
Yeah,
I've got
same.
videos. I look
Me
like
too.
a complete jackass. But no, yeah, you're right. But that's what I'm saying. And then I think what's hard for people too is once you've been doing CrossFit for a certain amount of time and you've learned all the things, and then we introduce something new, it's like, what is this?
Why do I have to learn this?
Right. And like how I programmed single unders as RX yesterday, a bunch of people were like, "Go, but I got double unders." And it's like,
And
well,
like
cool.
all the single under people that don't know double unders like kicked everyone's ass.
Yeah, all the people that could do singles forever, they're all like, "Yeah, our time to shine. Here we go."
Motherfucker, I'm one on the leaderboard.
Yeah. But I think that it's always good. Like that's like one of the things that Greg Glassman said is regular. It's in the 100 words of fitness in 100 words. It says regularly learn to play new sports.
Yeah.
I think that should be applied to everything you do in the even in the gym. Like not necessarily like go learn racquetball or whatever. It's like you can learn new things. Like I see you trying to do the freestanding handstand. And I'm like, God, I can't do that because of my mobility. And I'm like, well, no, I can. That you're just using that as an excuse because you suck at it.
Yeah, he does it great with the parallels.
Like I try to learn triple unders. I've gotten pretty good. I think my max set's like 58 or something like that.
Yeah.
In a row.
Fuck those, dude. I whip my head so hard I'll never do them again.
Oh yeah, you do got that bald head. Wear that beanie and your goggles to protect yourself.
Can I?
Yes, 100%. Look like a chihuahua on crack. But no, yeah, I think it's just learning new stuff is very frustrating because you get so good at being at what you're at. And I don't mean like good, competitive, worldwide. I mean like if I say do
comfortable.
Yes, comfortable. That's a better word. You get comfortable in what you can do. So that's the same thing like people that do single unders, they're comfortable doing single unders.
They crushed it.
Try to learn double unders and they just whip the shit out of themselves and they're like, I can just do single unders and get a good workout. And it's like, okay, I get that. You're showing up to get a good sweat on. I'm not showing up to lecture you and try to teach you for an hour and then see you tomorrow. It's like I want to get a sweat on. But at the end of the day, you still need to practice the movements. You still need to try to learn those movements. And no matter what age you're at, you always need to be doing that because it's like, well, whenever people retire, and then people always say like you aged 10 years after you retired.
Yeah,
it's because you stopped.
Yeah.
It's because you stopped moving. You stopped regularly trying to learn something. And I was using this analogy, doubt it. Have you ever watched 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. You know the part where like if you don't use it, is it true you lose it? And she's like, what? He's like, is it true if you don't use it, you lose it? Talking about his junk. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but the fucked up part about it is it's so true in the human body. And I don't necessarily mean towards the junk. I just mean like your body's going to atrophy. Mm-hmm, if you don't use your muscles, your body's going to get rid of it. If you don't regularly like Adrian, you said you used to be fluent in Italian and now you're like, I don't know if I could even make a sentence.
Yep.
Isn't that wild?
That's crazy. Do you think you would have picked it? You'd pick it up quickly if you went back for like 3 months in Italy?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like riding a bike, right? You
but
just hop right on.
Yeah. But if you put me on the spot, I mean, I don't think much would come out.
Right.
But actually, it's happening with French too, as weird as it may sound.
Yeah, it does sound weird.
That's
why I'm telling you and Charlotte. I was like, talk to French so you can.
Yeah, because I'd be like, yes, I speak English.
With a French accent.
I'd be like, bonjour. But that is true, though.
You've been hanging around me too much, talking that cornbread.
But yeah, you'd be surprised how easy it is to like forget even a language that
you grew up.
Yeah, that
your almost a whole life.
It's your first language.
Speaking.
Which is the thing that you think you would never forget. That's the last thing you think you would forget. But
But
happens.
again, like if you don't use it, you lose it. So it's like if you're not continually challenging yourself to try to learn something. So I remember at my old gym back in Oklahoma, we decided to randomly, my boss he'd get a hair up his ass and just be like, oh, we're going to try doing this for a while. And it was like, not like, hey, we're going to do a snatch cycle. It's like, we're going to do front rolls. So like we had like the
tuck and rolls.
Yeah. We had the 10 foot by 4 foot road mats. We had like 10 of them. So we laid them all out in a big long like rows, and you would like head roll over like a front flip, like a forward roll. Yeah. And because it works your vestibular. And that's one of the things, like literally, if you if you don't use that, you literally lose it. So you become dizzier faster. That's why when older people stand up, they get more off balance a lot easier. It's because they've stopped using it.
Because they don't tuck and roll.
Because they don't tuck and no, for real. Think it was like a kid. I know it sounds funny.
No, dude, it is. No, but it's. I mean,
but like
it's
as
funny,
a kid,
but
and
it's
even
true.
and even our age, like we'll jump on a trampoline and flip a few times, or like
I'm
we'll roll around on the ground.
Shit.
Right, but if you don't do it, you lose it.
Yeah.
Adrian,
which is why I ate it on that rope swing.
That's exactly why.
Because I wasn't using it enough.
You forgot to use it, and he did a horrible. He did a backflip into a backbuster.
We need to insert that video.
I've never. Yeah. Oh no, we don't have a video, but we do have a picture.
Just point up.
You're gonna have to airdrop me that picture. Yeah, right here. I can do that now. I know how to do that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But. Yeah, so I had a client. She was in her 50s, I believe, like late 50s. She flipped one time, had to go sit down for 10 minutes, came back, flipped another time, and was like, okay, I can do this. Flipped one more time, had to go home. Like, because she was going to throw up. She was like, it was so bad. Like she goes, I have not felt like this in a very long time. It's because she hasn't flipped or been upside down. Like you don't have to flip.
I wonder if that's like a big thing with like people that say like, oh, I have vertigo.
Yeah.
Because like when we learned handstand walks, I think we went to like finally this, I forget her name. She was a gymnast in Philly, and she taught us the first thing was on like these mats, how to
the
tuck and roll.
Mats. They can't see it on the camera.
So how to go into handstand if you get freaked out is like your feet is the
basically
tuck your chin
how to bell.
And then bang your arms and go into the roll. I tried teaching someone that here and it just went
back flop.
I was like, not like that.
Yeah, I taught gymnastics for 2.5 years. Watched many people eat shit.
We should do forward rolls this week at some point.
Grab your ankles and just roll all the way down.
So I did a workout one time. It was I'm trying to think of what it was. Have you ever? I'm trying to think. I'll think about it. Do you know what reverse burpees are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like you do a candlestick into, or no, is it?
Yeah, you roll back on your back
and then try to go up into a squat.
You come up and into a squat, stand up, and then do a handstand.
I still can't do that.
So I did one that was just forward rolls. So it was like a forward roll into a handstand. Like I don't know, it was weird. I don't remember what program it was. It was like an EMOM type thing that I did. It was like double unders in that, and I seriously was on the verge of throwing up for like a week and a half. And this was 7 years ago, 8 years ago. And
you taught gymnastics, right?
I know how to flip. I know how to do backflips. I know how to do back handsprings. Like I can do them today. And that messed me up so bad. And it was just because I didn't really use it up to that point. Like by that point had stopped flipping and stopped going upside down and stopped rolling around. So it's like, if you don't regularly learn something or regularly train something, like the legless rope climbs, if we can just lay down and do like lying, okay, we're going to build some upper back strength. We're going to build single arm pulling. So like, what if you fall down and you need to pick yourself up, So it's like small stuff like that. Like it seems dumb because it's like, I don't ever want to climb up a rope with no legs because like, when am I ever going to use that? But you use the single arm pulling in everyday life. Like how do you open your door in your car? You don't double fist it. Yeah.
Like
there we
this.
go.
I jumped through the window.
Kick the door.
Dukes of Hazzard style.
One foot on the passenger door, and you pull real hard on the handle.
Hands.
Yeah, both hands.
Both hands.
So I think we could agree. Like the takeaway is CrossFit for everyone. What age should you stop? I think the big question is how can we make more clients understand that embrace the process and the new things versus being used to just doing the same thing and really, really good at it and just want to only do those things. Right?
Yeah, I agree with you.
Because like I'm guilty of it. I love power cleans and I love GHD sit-ups or toes to bar, but I mean, I haven't done a pistol in a long time. I haven't done certain things. Rope.
Right.
I mean, I hated rope climbs forever because of my hands, and then him and you guys wanting to do legless ones. Shit, I love them now.
Yeah,
And it's even easier when you use your legs. So it's like
it's just like whenever we first started doing them, like whenever Adrian started working out with us in the middle of the day, we kind of started adding them in a lot more. Britt was like, "Oh, I hate rope climbs. I hate them. She's good at them now. She's like, she doesn't bother her.
Dude, I used to love them, dude.
I did too, but I think what it was is because you were out of practice. You were out of sync with it, so everything felt out of, like, you felt a little uncomfortable.
But that's where I'm saying is like I would avoid them. I'm like, I don't want to do them. Like, it just hurts me. Like, until you start doing them, like if you continually embrace the process and focus on one or two things and get good at it.
I think the emphasis for the gym, for our gym and for all gyms, needs to come back to the fun. The emphasis needs to be more on the fun, because that keeps you wanting to come in, that keeps you excited. Like, there's nothing wrong with being competitive. I hate losing to you every day, Adrian, just because I hate losing just as much as you hate losing to me or anybody else.
Yes.
Right. There's nothing wrong with that. And in that moment, don't lose. But outside of that, try to have fun. And if you're not regularly learning something, or if you're just going in and suffering every day of just like, oh, I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to do this instead. And it's like, okay, cool. You did that already this week and 4 other times. So it's like, why are you repeating that? It's because that's your comfort zone. That's where you're comfortable at. But I think it comes down to people feeling embarrassed because they don't want to feel dumb, or they don't want to feel like stupid. Like if I do a forward roll and I like flip sideways and hit like like a plate or something, and like I remember one time we were doing front rack carries with kettlebells, and I was dying, and I had my eyes closed, and I walked straight to the right into a rower and flipped over 4 rowers. Like literally kettlebells went flying, rower, and I was like, oh man, that was stupid. But had I been someone that gets embarrassed easy, I might have just left and never came back. Yeah. So it's like, it's okay to mess up, and it's okay to look dumb. No one gives a shit. No one's like, oh, look at that dummy, unless it's you.
I mean,
Adrian.
we do, but we won't let
unless
you know.
It's you,
yeah. And the other thing about
pull
hating
up the security footage and watch it later over and over and over.
And hating losing to one another.
We'll put you on TikTok, but we'll blur your face.
Yeah, a little bit.
Let's reiterate so people get a better understanding. Like when you get frustrated losing, it's fine to be frustrated and mad.
I leave it at that. I get frustrated, I get mad, and then I move on.
But the next day, we're not like at each other's throat. We might want to go a little harder to kick the other person's ass the next day if we lost. But like it doesn't ruin our day.
Right.
It may be an hour. You might go in the corner. I might go roll foam roll. Like if I had a bad workout, we all have our own ways of doing it. Like it's okay. Like it's not everything's perfect, but like you can't let it harp to the next day, to the next day, to the next day, because you have to let it go. Like
let it go. But yeah, I think just always having an open mind and trying to learn something outside of your comfort zone. I mean, I took a boxing class one time, like 4 years ago. I felt so fucking stupid.
Irish boxing?
Yeah, it's exactly. How'd you know I was Irish? Is it because I'm white?
Bare knuckle? Yeah. Bare knuckle Irish boxing?
Yeah, we were beating the shit out of each other in the back alley. Someone told me I was taking a boxing class.
I did blood sport. They put like glass in, like tie glass in bare knuckle.
God, yes.
Yeah, dude.
But no, I
doing
feel like a
boxing
dummy.
is
I feel
hard.
like stupid because it's like knowing how to like rotate and use your body. It's like
where's your weight supposed to be?
Like,
on your back
when
foot.
I swing a bat. Ask me. Oh man, it is so bad.
I've seen you shoot a basketball. Shit,
hey, I
that's
can shoot
bad.
a basketball. All right, I can't dribble
I meant, sorry, shoot a goal. Sorry, Brett.
Yes. So we say goal. All right, it's not a hoop, even though I know it is. But whatever. It's just what we say. But anyway, it's okay to be embarrassed. It's okay to do stuff. Like even if you don't want to do CrossFit and you want to do other lines of fitness, if you go somewhere and people make you feel stupid or make you feel insignificant, go somewhere else, because clearly that place isn't a positive environment that people are willing to help other people grow.
That's just shitty people, and if they are doing that to you, call Adrian. He'll go over and kick their ass.
Irish was.
That's right.
I taught him my ways.
French kickboxing.
I don't know how to do that. He's got the cigarette hanging out of his mouth, like
yeah, a little beret.
Is that the English way of saying it or the French way?
It's a mix.
Beret.
Like
croissant.
It's a mix.
Yeah, it's a good mix. What is Frenglish? French English. Anyway, yeah. So I mean, do you guys have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just to recap.
Yeah.
You can start CrossFit just like you would start any other sport. Like
or any other activity.
Yeah, any other activity. There's not more that goes into CrossFit than would go into any other sport. I mean, at the end of the day, at least as far as I know, we all come in to just, have fun and get a good workout. It's like a hobby. And just do it for as long as you can.
Yeah.
Respect your body.
I think CrossFit, the reason why it's good is because you do so many different things that it can keep you overall well-rounded in fitness.
Learn as you go, as many things as you can, like new movements and even the weird ones like single enders. And just go for
strict
like
pull-ups,
air squats.
Dude, did you see that meme I sent you? The air squats, like the coach's face when the owner programs Sydney, and you see the shittiest air squats.
Yeah, Britt sent it to me too.
Yeah,
it's pretty good. But yeah, I agree.
I was just saying, go for as long as you can, or for as long as it's fun, right? If it's no longer fun, then maybe it's time to do something else. Which is totally fine too.
I completely agree. I've had plenty of members be like, I'm just gonna go do something else for a while. I'm like, cool, go ahead,
and
we'll be here.
And when in doubt, tuck and roll.
Vestibular.
100 tuck and rolls for tomorrow's workout.
Oh my god! All right, well,
that'll be fun though.
Great podcast today, guys.
Excellent.
All right,
great.
Later.
Peace.